everyone, and welcome. Happy Saturday morning to you. I am here for my first design team video for the SNL design team, and I'm so excited to be sharing this with you today. And a huge thank you to Carla for allowing me to be a part of the team this session. I'm really excited. I am teaming up today with Craftin' Mama ML is her YouTube name, and she has a video out today as well. And today we are going to be doing our Saturday stash dive, which I absolutely love because it gets us in and using those things that we don't typically pull out. And our topic today is stamps. So what we teamed up and decided to do was to pull out some old stamps, maybe in our stash that we don't use, and create a project using a minimum of 5 stamps. And I have a lot of stamps. This is just some of my stamps that I have. I keep them stored here in these little boxes, and I'm gonna tell you guys, I'm really bad. I have all these stamps, and seriously, most of them are like brand new. I still have to do my labeling. That's what the yellow notes are for. And I've collected these great stamps, and I just haven't used them. They're all brand new. And so I was really excited about this project that we're doing because, you know, like I said, I've got a lot of stamps here that I need to use up. So I've already pulled some stamps that I'm going to be using on my project today. And I'm going to start with these Studio Calico doily stamps that I had to have because I was into a doily stage. I still am. I love doilies, but I have never used them, so I'm going to be using those today. I'm going to be using this background stamp, which I believe is from Hero Art. Yes, Studio Calico as well. I'm going to be using that. This is a Technique Tuesday set at Ali Edwards set from 2013, which has never been used. I'm going to be using that today. I'm pulling out another Studio Calico stamp set. This was Studio Calico and Hero Arts, and I'm going to be using parts of this stamp set, maybe 1 or 2 pieces. And then also another Studio Calico Hero Arts stamp set that I haven't used yet. So I'm going to be using this on the layout. So I've got 5 different sets here. I may be using more than 1 from each set, but at least I'm going to have a minimum of 5 stamps. So I just kind of wanted to give you a little bit of intro, let you know what we're doing, and so that you can kind of have a heads up of what's going on. So hopefully this is going to inspire you to get into those stamps and pull those out and use those stamps that maybe are in your stash that haven't been used as much as they should be. So I hope you enjoy it. I'm going to go ahead and get started on the layout, and also watch because I'm going to have a bonus video at another video that I post for the SNL design team today, and it's just something that I want to do because planners are so huge right now. Everybody is kind of like into planners, and I've always been a planner person. And so what I'm going to do, I have a bonus video for you that I'm excited about. I'm going to share a little bit of tips on using stamps in your planner and how to utilize your stamps, get more use of them, not just for projects or scrapbooking, but how you can also use them in your planner. So make sure you keep an eye out. I'll put a link to the bottom in the description to the bonus video that I have for you today on using your planner, using stamps in your planner. So I hope you enjoy that. So let's go ahead and get started, and thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started here. I am using, today on the layout, I'll be using the December Hip Kit Club from the main kit, and I still have some things left over in that kit that I want to go ahead and clear out. So I'm going to be using that and scrapbooking that layout, that picture of my grandson that I just showed you. And I'm starting out here with watercolor paper because I'm going to be doing some a little bit of mixed media stamping and inking, so I want to make sure that the paper holds up. Sometimes regular cardstock tends to fall apart if you use too much, and I wasn't sure how deep I was going to go into mixed media, so I just started with the watercolor paper. And I was looking for an acrylic block for that huge stamp, and believe it or not, I do not have one. I told you I have not used these stamps before, and when I went to go find an acrylic block, I was like, oh my goodness, I don't even have one for that size. So I just used a CD case, pulled one out, and I'm going to use that. Except if you do that, make sure that you tape it closed, because I did run into some issues with it popping open as I was trying to stamp, but it worked out. And so what I'm going to be doing is I'm using the Delusions misting spray. It's actually called Delusions ink spray, and it's in Calypso Teal It looks like Calypso Teal. And I am spraying that on my work mat there, and I added a little bit of water just to water it down. And what I'm going to be doing is creating a background using that dot stamp. And I'm just rubbing it into the ink and just inking it up and then stamping it on my background a few times. And it's not perfect. I like the look of that. It's kind of, you know, more of a just an artistic look to me. It's not perfect, and I really like the look that that ink gives. And what I really like too, mixing it with the water and then pressing it on, you'll see at the end of the video when I do the close-up, is it kind of like pushes the ink to the edge of the dot. And so on the close-ups, you're going to see when it dries, it has a really cool effect because it has a darker blue ring around the edge of those dots, which is really cool. I really like that effect. So there's that ink spray right there. So I'm going to go ahead and try to dry this up. There's spots on that layout that are really inked up and very wet. So I'm taking a paper towel and I'm just going to dab them a little bit to soak up a little bit of that ink so it doesn't puddle and make a mess. So I'm going to try to get it dried pretty quick here. And sometimes if you just take just the corner and just tap the little spot, it'll, you know, absorb into that paper towel and will dry much quicker. And so that's the base I'm starting with. I'm using my first stamp there, the polka dot stamp, the background stamp from Studio Calico. And I'm just going to go ahead and dry that up real well. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my second stamp that I'm going to be using. And again, it's from Studio Calico, and it's kind of like more of like a border type stamp, and it's the that arrow stamp there. And it's funny because now that I'm using these stamps, I'm seeing what I don't have in the form of like acrylic blocks. That stamp hangs off the end. It's not long enough. So I'm like, okay, now I'm making notes of things that I have to get because I had such a great time doing this layout using these stamps. And so I'm kind of like feeling addicted now. Like I need to get out some more stamps and create some more layers, layouts using the stamps because I really had a lot of fun. And I do like layers upon layers of texture. And so what you're seeing here, you know, starting with the ink and adding the stamping with another color ink, it's just layer upon layer, and it gives the you know, more texture. It gives the illusion of more texture, layer upon layer, and I'm really liking that. So I'm using that stamp in 4 places there on the layout, and just cleaning it up here real quick. And so I'm really creating kind of a base for my layout, and starting with that background, and I'm going to start building upon that. And so I'm doing that photo with my grandson there with his hat. It's kind of like a mohawk hat that my daughter got him for the fall and winter, and it was so stinking cute on him. I just loved it. And so I was glad I got this picture from the side so you could catch the full effect of what the hat looked like. I thought it was adorable, so I had to scrapbook that. And what I'm doing now is I'm going through some of the papers that I still have in the kit, and I'm just cutting up some squares that I can use in layering. I'm going to layer several different papers behind the photo, and in colors that are complementary to the layout. I'm using some blacks and whites and pulling in a little bit of those greens and teals there, and also that gray kind of like birch paper. And I'm going to be using some of those in just layering the photos and layering some papers on my background. And I'm kind of roughing up the edges there a little bit. If you've seen many of my videos, I don't like a lot of flat papers. I'm usually for the most part roughing them up and giving a little bit of texture there. And so right now I'm just going ahead and working my layers, figuring out how I want those to go in what order. And I'm going to start getting those layers tacked down before I start adding more embellishments. And I'm going to go ahead and raise that photo up a little bit. I'm going to put that right on that black and white paper, and then I'm going to put some pop dots behind that to be able to raise it up a little bit and give it a little bit more dimension. I like the look that that adds, you know, in between the layers. I think it just adds, you know, such a really nice effect when you can pop some of those up. And to the glue gun, sometimes when I use a glue gun, it's, you know, has a little bit more dimension in between the layers than just a flat adhesive. So I like that too. And I'm going ahead and just stacking all of those up. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere those down so that I can begin putting my embellishments on. And I'm going to go ahead and use these gold word stickers. I do love these. These are from, I'm sure they're Dear Lizzie stickers. And yeah, they're the printed foil letter stickers. And it's just got all different kinds of words, and I love those. And I decided to use the Love This for the title, and I like the gold brought in with the textures of the stamps and the color of the teal. So now what I'm doing is I'm pulling some stamp pads, and I'm going to start stamping some of my embellishments, which is where I'm going to bring in some of my other stamps that I'm using. And I'm pulling out some colors that are complementary to the layout: the teal, the mint green, and the gray. And I'm starting with the doilies. I'm going to use that doily stamp a couple of times, and even though it's a boy layout, yes, I'm using doilies, and I think it's just fine. So you can see I have not used these. I had such a hard time getting that thing off of the backing because I'm assuming because I haven't used it before, and they've been on there for a while. So I did finally work it off, and I was trying to be careful so I didn't tear it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just stamp that on some of the background paper, the paper that came in the kit, which is the kind of like the geometric triangular gray paper. And I'm going to be using a teal, which is the Heidi Swap teal, and then the slate gray from Studio Calico. And I'm going to cut those out and just use those as an embellishment piece on the layout. And I was looking for a circle punch. I don't have a circle punch that was that size. I have one that's great big, but I did have a scallop punch. So I decided to go ahead and use my scallop punch on one of those. And it doesn't go all the way to the edge, but it's okay because it's still, you get the center portion. So I'm going to use a scallop punch on one of those. And then I decided on the other one, I didn't want the same effect, so I just decided to cut it out and just cut it in a circle around the stamp. And I really like how those turned out. They're just fun embellishment pieces. And, I'm using my stamps on this layout, and thinking to myself, why haven't I not used more stamps? I do use stamps a little bit, but not to the extent that I've done on this layout. And like I said before, I really did enjoy it and love the layers that it gave. And again, here I didn't have a long enough block to use, so I was going to be real smart and try to put two together, but yeah, you're going to see that didn't work so well. So you try and you learn, and what doesn't work you just move on. And so I'm going to go ahead and stamp that. Now those are little alphabet stamps from Studio Calico, and it's just a strip, and it's just A, B, C, D, whole alphabet. And I thought it was cute going across the right of the page there, just to kind of give it more of like almost like a border, something to connect that cluster of the photos to the page. So I just put a few stamps of that on there, layered that a few times. And then another stamp I'm bringing in is also one of my border stamps there in that same set from Studio Calico, and it's just kind of like a stripe stamp, and I'm just adding a little bit of that there to the left of the layout. And what I do love about this type of layout is that, it doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm typically not a perfect scrapbooker anyway. I'm very, I like the imperfections of the stamps. I like the imperfections of, mixed media. And so it wasn't bothering me that they weren't going down completely all of the way, because that was really what I wanted anyway. So I just stamped a few more there, a couple more stamps there on the left in the gray, to kind of tie in some of that gray on the left-hand side. And so I can kind of feel it starting to come together, so I'm going to be using yet another one of the stamps that I'm using in the set. And this is from Technique Tuesday. It's one of the Allie Edwards stamps when she was with Technique Tuesday from a couple of years ago. And I'm pulling out some cardstock right now, just some scrap cardstock that I'm going to be stamping one of the circle stamps on. And it's one that says photo, and I'm going to stamp that in the gray. And then in that set also is a little heart, and I wanted to use that right there in that opening of the stamp, and I wanted that in red. Even though there's no red on the layout, I wanted to just kind of have that little heart stand out. So I'm using red on that, and I'm going to put that right there in the center, and I love the way that turned out. I don't know why I haven't used that stamp set more either, because it's so cute. And so what I'm going to do is go ahead and cut that in a circle to be yet another embellishment. So primarily a lot of the embellishments that I'm using are stamps that I'm using on the layout, and I'm just creating embellishments with those. And I'm not really one for fussy cutting. I'm not good at it at all. So even to cut a straight circle was a challenge, but I just took it slow and it worked out okay. So I'm going to just layer those there in the upper corner of the photo for just a little embellishment cluster there. And then what is this? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think this 7. I think this is about the 8th stamp that I'm using now on the layout. And it's just a wood grain circle. And I'm stamping it in the mint green from Studio Calico. And again, just cutting a circle to just make another layering piece. I do love the wood grain effect, and I'm going to be putting that and layering that behind the doilies there off to the side of the photo. And I thought the mint green just kind of helped tie in a little bit of the green there on that background paper, one of the layers, and the green grass in the photo. And there I'm trying to count my stamps, making sure I met my 5, and I think I more than met my 5 minimum, which was our challenge, to pull the 5 stamps, layout from 5 stamps. And now I'm just pulling in some additional embellishment pieces that we had in our kit for the hip kit in December. And I think I'm done with the stamps, so I'll push those aside. And I'm going to try to just add a few more pieces here to the layout. And that little rad flare button I thought was so cute. I love it because, you know, he is kind of rad. And so I use that flare button, and the green arrow from Freckled Fawn. I'm trying to place that here and figuring out where I want those to go. And you end up moving that to the top of the photo where I think it looks better. And then the little camera veneer, the wood veneer, that's from Pink Fresh Studio. And then I'm going to use that rub-on that's from the Amy Tangerine Stitched collection. And I'm just going to do another layer. I thought it would look great up there on that black and white stripe, and so I'm just going to add that for just another layer up there. Those are easy rub-ons to use. They go on so nice. Nice and easy. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and start tacking down some of my embellishments now that I've kind of got everything placed where I want it to be, and go ahead and commit to those and get those stuck down so they all are staying in place and I don't lose track of where they're supposed to go. And I didn't like how that green was sticking out so far, so I decided to go ahead and cut it down a little bit so it would fit in there better and kind of just peek out a little bit. And I'm kind of adjusting there. Adding a pop up to the back of that little stamp piece there. Yeah, like I said, I have a lot of stamps in my stash, so I really enjoyed this challenge. I'm probably going to end up pulling out some more and using them on other things because it was really nice just having those to pull from. And really the bulk of my layout is all created from stamps with few additional embellishments. And so I really like the way that that looks and just like the variety that you get on the layout. So I'm going ahead and just tacking down those stickers. Even though they do have adhesive, sometimes they don't stick as well, especially on a layout like this where there's lots of layers or mixed media, stamping, things like that. I find that they tend to lift off. So I just like to tack them down with a little bit of glue. And I'm going to add that little arrow there that's pointing to the photo. And then I'm going through some wood veneer. We did get some wood veneer in the kit from Embellishments, and that photo wood veneer, I've decided that I wanted to go ahead and add that to the layout as well. And I'm going back through the kit just to see if there's anything else that I might be able to use. Like I said, I'm trying to clear out this kit, and so this was a great layout to be able to use those on. And I'm going to use the photo wood veneer, and then that little piece with a heart in the center. It's like a little iPhone or a little tablet. That is from the Amy Tangerine Stitched collection, and that's from the ephemera pack. And I'm going to be just tacking that down there off to the right of the photo just to peek out a little bit from there. And I was looking to see if there was anything else that I wanted to add using those puffy stickers. Didn't really find anything, except I did like those gold stars. And I wanted to go ahead and include those to kind of tie in with the gold letters down there in the title. And so I'm just going to layer those right over the top of the other rub-on up in that corner. I love the touch of gold in an otherwise kind of colorful, crazy layout. So I'm going to go ahead and tack those down, the rub-ons, so they don't get away from the backing page, so I can reuse those. I'll definitely use those on something else. And I didn't find anything that I wanted to use those stickers on, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and add my date stamp. I always like to add a date stamp somewhere on my layout just to make sure that I get the date of the photo, so that I can always remember when that photo was taken. And I'm just going to go ahead and just put it in that black strip. And it's just subtle, even though it's black ink and it doesn't show up completely, but it's still subtle, which I do like. I didn't really want to make it stand out. And then what I'm going to do is add a few ink splatters to finish off the page. And I'm going to go ahead and get my brush out and just drop a few ink splatters on the layout. I'm covering it up. I didn't want to get my photo, so splattering a few ink splatters here and there. And with that, that's going to pretty much wrap up the page and the layout. So again, I got my 5 stamps in. I'm going to go ahead and kind of recount again and make sure I got them all and kind of point out to you where the stamps are. And again, I just want to thank Carla for allowing me to be on the team. This is my first video for the SNL design team, and I've enjoyed it so much. And I do hope that you've enjoyed it, and I hope it encourages you to get your stamps out. Leave me a thumbs up and some comments on where you're at with stamping. Do you use stamps a lot? And love to see what you come up with on the challenge to get the stamps out and use. So make sure you link me to anything that you've created and post, okay? And thank you so much, and I hope you've enjoyed it, and have a great day.